Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is Carl's Roller Coaster Podcast.
No, it doesn't have to be fancy. That's the thing. It's got to be easy, like Sunday morning, if you know what I mean.
Here's the last song for here.
Mr. Phil, it's been, 2009, 5 years when we did a podcast together. So 5 years.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
2019.
That was 2019.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I know.
You're totally
a
right.
lot has happened, but like a lot in your life.
Like first a black hole
Yeah.
of a pandemic. And then there was zombies for a little bit, right? And then now we're rocking and rolling. And the Phil X and the Drills, man, the new record.
I know, right? Pow! Pow! Pow!
Dude, I remember playing you some roughs in the van when we were touring around the UK in 2020.
Absolutely. Well, we were touring what was Volume 1 at the time.
Yeah.
And there were some songs on that Volume 1 that basically got reworked and remixed, remastered, lots of stuff added to those tracks, and finally became what now is Pow, Ride and a Kisser, an album. A fucking great album, by the way.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you.
Loved it. I'm so happy that it's finally has seen the day, light of day, because it's been a long time coming, right? I mean, getting all this.
Oh my God, 10 years, man. I mean, so what we did was Stupid Good Looking Volume 1 in 2019. That was kind of like a sneak preview of what was to come, which was like another 11 songs with another 11 drummers. It was kind of like a sneak peek. But so the first song on this record that was recorded in 2014 with Brian Tishy, that was I Sunk My Battleship. And then the last song was 2024 with Tosh Peterson in November. And that was called Seemed Like a Good Idea. So that's, and everything in between with, Liberty DeVito and Tico Torres while Bon Jovi was touring in 2018. We got Tommy Lee recorded, I think, in 2015. All this stuff in between. Gary Novak was also in 2014, maybe. I don't know, man. It's crazy to keep track. I look at dates when I pull up the session, and it says originally created, and it says 2000 what? It's crazy.
And what's with the drummers? What's the fascination about drummers? Because you clearly have very good drummer friends, like lots of great drummers that you can call friends and just, hey, would you mind recording a track for me?
Well, it's, what, I say this a lot, but it's like, when you're in the studio, like, for instance, with Kenny Aronoff, I can't even count how many records we played together by other artists. So when you're recording, there's this instant camaraderie, chemistry, you're gelling musically. There's an instant vibe happening. And then, me saying, hey, man, will you play on my record? It's kind of like, hey, man, what do you want to get for lunch? It's kind of the same thing. So, and then Ray was through a friend, Takumi, said, man, if you're getting all these drummers on your record, you got to get Ray. And everybody knows Ray Luzier from Korn because he's such an amazing drummer. But that was special because it was me, Ray, and Dan at Studio 606, Foo Fighters Studio in Northridge. And I remember as soon as we went through the song just one time, I was like, this is going to open the record. I had a feeling, because to me, that's like a true drill song. Like the guitar that you hear on the left is the guitar I played with Ray and Dan. And then to make a stereo image, when I got it home, I got a different sounding guitar and put the guitar on the right, but I mimicked the guitar on the left. So it would be one guitar part, but two different takes and two different sounds. Not that different, but when I got to the solo, instead of playing a rhythm track to support the solo, I doubled the solo. So to me, it's like a 3-piece with my aggressive vocal in your face. And to me, that's what the drills is all about. So that's why I thought this is going to open the record. This is what it's going to be like.
Man,
So it's go ahead.
no, I was just going to say that, like, it's been such a long time coming, and the record sounds really good. It's not only the songs and those details that you're mentioning. Then I'm gonna go and listen again just to kind of like, oh, okay, now I get what Phil is saying, because you've been working on it for so long, and it sounds massive. The sound of the drum, all of the drummers sound, they all sound great. The guitars, I mean, you can't even tell, you know. Obviously, you've been working on it for such a long time, but as a listener from outside, you know, just as a normal punter, like picking up on Apple iTunes or Spotify, you can't really tell that it was like different eras, you know, that this was recorded, because it all sounds so great. You know what I mean? Not uniform. I'm not saying that all sound the same. No, absolutely not. I'm just saying that in comparison to everything that the Drills has released prior. Wow. Okay. It feels like, okay, great. Now we've got a record, you know, like a proper, like full on balls out record.
Thanks, man. You know, at the end, it was the toughest part was at the end, because of the 11 drummers. And I thought, okay, if the common denominator is the way I play guitar and my guitar sounds and the way I sing and Dan's bass and Dan's background vocals, with those common denominators strung together, then, okay, the drumming being a little different here and there, it's not going to matter. It mattered. I sent mixes to my mastering guy, Mauer, and he was like, doesn't really sound like the same record. And I was like, oh, man, no, really? And then, but he worked with me. Like, he, try this, you know, like I want fat sounding guitars, but then when I sent it to him, he goes, well, that part of the guitar sound is kind of fighting the bass and the kick. So instead of me fixing it, why don't you just take a little 100 out of the guitar? And I would do that. So it would kind of went like, he really worked with me, and he goes, it's almost there. It's almost there. It's almost there. It's done. It was kind of like that. But, and then when I handed it over to Frontiers, they were like, oh my God, this record sounds amazing. Killer. So I was really happy at the end, and when I listen to it now, I'm really excited. I don't think about how long it took. I don't think about and much more than that. You know, like I love that every song has a story, because every song has a different drummer. So like Tommy Lee, for instance, you know, I really wanted, because I have a history with Tommy. We go back to '99. I recorded on all his solo records. Starting with Methods of Mayhem. And so when I wanted to pitch him a song, I wanted it to be something that he could grasp. You know, not just, I'll play on anything, man. No, I want you to connect. So I found a bit of him doing a beat in a drum solo on YouTube. And I wrote Fake the Day Away to that beat.
Oh, wow. That's the story. Wow.
Yeah. And then but the funny part of the story is I sent it to him, and I sent him just a guitar and a vocal, and he sampled it, slowed it down about 10 beats per minute, put a loop on it, and sent it back to me and said, I love it, but this is the tempo. And I'm like, you're the boss. So basically we went into the studio, me, him, and Dan at his old studio at the Atrium in Calabasas, and we were just jamming it. And he goes, you know, I think we could bring it back a couple of beats per minute more. And then we did that twice. So, but the tempo that it's settled on is the tempo that you hear now. And the thing is, I can't even imagine it faster. It's so energetic. And he really put what I wanted to capture from Tommy Lee, because, you know, he's a very straightforward meat and potatoes drummer with Motley Crue and stuff like that. But being in the studio with him many times, and he just jamming out ideas for his records, I go, man, this guy's got this deep pocket and imaginative fills, and he's got all these vibes happening and stuff. And I just wanted to capture that for the Drills record so other people could hear it. And now people call me all the time and go, I can't believe that's Tommy on drums. Because it sounds so awesome. But I mean, every song has kind of like a story like that, you know? I mean, Tico Torres, for instance, I'd be sound checking with Bon Jovi anywhere in the world. And then I start playing something funky, and he kicks into a beat. And I'm like, man, I got to get that Cuban funk on my record. So I kind of went like that. Would find a way,
I see you as the responsible for mixing the record on the record credits. Is that all you? Is that all your magic? Did you mix the whole record yourself? Tell me more about that.
Well, I had to rise to the occasion because Chris Lord Alge had already mixed "Fake the Day Away" and "I Love You" on her lips, and I worked with Chris a lot, and we have a really special friendship. Like, I work on stuff for him and he's worked on stuff for me, but I couldn't find it in me to be like, hey man, can you mix the rest of the record, but I don't have any money. So I've worked with him so much, like there's no way I could capture his magic, but I could do my version of it. When I listen to it now, like I'll listen, you could definitely hear the kick drum more on the phone. Like, there's songs where when you listen to Back in Black, even if it's your phone sitting on a table, you hear the kick drum. And it's the size and the punch and all that stuff. And there are a lot of songs that don't have that. So I feel like Chris Lord Alge's kick drum sticks out more when the phone's sitting on the table than mine. But I mean, I love what he does. But I just knew that I had to kind of like, if I take my time, like Chris Lord Alge can do what he does in 3 hours. Me, it probably takes 3 months. So it was a very slow process.
But man, honestly, that's amazing that you took on that role as well, because mixing a record is no joke. And I think what I just said a minute ago, that it sounds so great, it's because the mixing is great, and obviously the mastering did a great job. Because you showed me some of those tracks like prior to the final product, like during the course of when you were working on them, and I can tell that there is like something has happened, to the final product. Probably the mastering process did help a lot. Which brings the question, like, when mastering because this time around, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the very first Drills full length on vinyl, right? So the mastering for the vinyl was a separate mastering, right? It was a different mastering than the actual, yeah.
It gets mastered twice, one for digital and one for vinyl. And you know what? I want to take, like, I have friends that mix. So sometimes if I have a question or something about something, I'll send it to a buddy and I go, what do you think of this? Right? And I remember sending a song to John Shanks. And because there's one song, I really wanted the guitar and the vocal to be naked, like super naked at the beginning of the song. And then the band kicks in. And then he heard it and he says, I kind of know what you're going for, but it kind of sounds like a demo. I'm like, yeah, I kind of get that. And he goes, yeah, but dude, this is your record. You don't want any bit of it to sound like a demo. Do something to that voice. Put some production on it. And then it made me think about things that I could do. And then I found something that actually worked in that particular song. But there's like, when you listen to like Broken Arrow, that feel with Liberty DeVito on drums, but it's just, there's something that's happening with the guitar that's really special, and I wanted the vocal to be really special. And the way I sang it is, it's like I sang "Happy Birthday." It's just like how the voice sounds coming out of my face. So making that special sometimes is hard, and sometimes it's easy. But in some cases, when the band kicks in, then the production level goes up, and I felt really happy with how that stuff came out.
I was going to say the vocals on the record, the way it was captured, I was going to ask you, where did you, what did you use, like different mics for different songs for capturing your vocals? Did you record most of them in your home studio, or did you go elsewhere? Because it's sounding really, really good. It almost feels like that you are a lead singer and not the guy also playing the guitar and writing the songs. it's very hard to detach that from Phil X, obviously, because we all are very accustomed to seeing you kicking some serious ass playing the guitar and also kicking ass singing. But it does have that vibe that, oh wow, there's a kick-ass rock and roll lead singer in the band. So what was the process for that? And also, just as a second question there, when you go into the studio, okay, today I'm gonna record Broken Arrow. Do you particularly do anything in particular in order to get your vocals to a point to warm up your voice, or you just start like singing a few lines and then get your voice warmed up in order to go and nail the track? What's the process for you?
That's a great question. So technically, it's funny because I used like 100 different guitars and 7 or 8 or 10 different amps and 100 pedals. But for my voice, I just used a Shure SM7 into whatever interface I was using, and then recorded into Pro Tools. And I learned a couple of tricks here and there. Like I would send, when Chris was producing Kurt Dimer, I would send him background vocals of my voice. And he goes, hey, your voice sounds great, but you should try this EQ and this compression. And then I would play around with that a little bit. And it didn't work the same for every song, but it worked here and there. So a little sprinkle, you know. But warming up, dude, I try not to warm up too much. Obviously you have to, otherwise you crack when you go for a longer note. But I have this thing, like if I say I have to hit an A really strong, like full voice, but my voice isn't familiar with the vowel sounds, I sing Air Hockey Champion of the World a bunch of times because it hits that note. And then once I do that, champion of the world, full voice, I could sing anything in that range, any vowel sound, anything. And that's how I look at what I need to do, what my throat already has a muscle memory for, and then work it in. Weird, right?
I think it's interesting because I mean vocals are such a particular personal thing, isn't it? It's your, I mean, you are the instrument. It involves so much. It's your it's your mind. If you've got the right mindset for the day, it's how you're feeling emotionally, physically. All of those aspects can influence on the outcome of what's coming out of your pipes, isn't it? Yeah. So I think that's really, really interesting. The fact that you've been doing it for so long, and I've known you for like 12 years by this point, and you always go and you just smash it. You just go like and scream like no one's business, and it's really impressive. And I think there's a lot of muscle memory, but that also brings me to the question, which is like, how do you manage to maintain your vocals in order for you to sort of be at the ready to sing? Because I don't imagine Phil X at home every day practicing, singing, but playing the guitar, obviously, but not singing that much. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you do practice some singing at home as well.
For the drills, it's very demanding. So, like if I'm doing like background vocals with another band or something like that, I don't have to warm up that much. It's usually the first or second song. With the drills, I literally have to scream drills in the car for 3 weeks to get ready for a show. I literally do. And it's funny because I was in the kitchen and I didn't do it the day before. I was singing something really loud. It might have been like Kiss My Troublemaker in the kitchen. I was making lunches for the kids for school. And my son walks in and he goes, Alexa, auto-tune dad. I'm like, what? Like shots fired. I'm like, what? There is no pitch reference, and how do you know about auto-tune, dude? Like he was 10 at the time. But obviously he's got a musical dad, so he probably hears about everything. But the funny thing is that's what I need to do. I need to scream drills in the car, and it's funny because when it's new songs, like we did with Brent, Dan, and I, we went to Texas. We did 3 shows a couple of weekends ago, and I wanted to do new songs, so we did the singles. Moving to California is a piece of cake. I was kind of worried about Fake Day Away because it's kind of different how way I sang it on the record. And then Don't Wake Up Dead, which is the track with the aggressive vocal, I was kind of nervous about. And so when we did Fake the Day Away, somebody mentioned it to me. I said, man, it's almost like I was just listening to it. Yeah, it's kind of like it's floating. It's kind of like a floating situation where you feel like you're listening and you forget to play. Like with me and Dan and Brent playing Fake the Day Away in Texas, I felt like I was just listening to it. I forgot I was playing the solo. And I'm like, dude, keep playing. And here comes the third chorus. 2, 3, 4. And then, you know what I mean? It was like that. And then we only did, I remember we played in Lubbock, Fort Worth, and then Houston, and then flew home. And in Fort Worth is when we played Don't Wake Up Dead, and I didn't think it went well. I didn't think I sang it that well, but then somebody posted a video of it, and I'm like, what was I thinking? It sounds great. So sometimes you're your worst critic, like they say. And I don't know what I heard in my head, but I didn't think it was coming out the way I wanted it to, so I was down on it. So we didn't play it in Houston. But listening back, not being myself and just being a listener, I thought, wow, I did a good job. We should have done it again. And it'll just get better and better. You know, you start learning your everything that's happening in your voice the more you do it.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to like choosing guitars to play, like you're gonna actually first, when putting together an idea, writing a song, does it all start with a riff on the guitar? Does it start with some melody that you sing into yourself in your head? And do you follow any particular process when it comes to writing music for the drills, or does it just happen naturally?
Yeah, there's no process. There's no. I'm anti-formula. I feel like it can come from anywhere. Any inspiration is going to hit me, and it could be a vocal part, a lyric, a riff, and I'm not going to be, well, no, I got to write a riff first. It's whatever hits me first, and it's usually when I'm driving. My best ideas come to me when I'm driving. I'm not listening to music. I'm listening to the sounds around here, around what's happening, and I'm just driving. And then, bam, I'll hear something, or I'll think I heard something the other day and that would be a great lyric, and then I follow through. Like we did that song "Right on the Money." That song came to me like driving around Vegas, and I was thinking, right on the money, and I'm like, wow, that's a good chorus. And then what's going to happen in the verse? But the thing is when you record stuff into your phone, you go home and listen to your ideas, and you either have a song or you don't. Or even if you don't think it's a song, then like we have a song called "We Bring the Rock and Roll" on that record. And that song was done, but it needed a bridge. I had no idea what to do for the bridge. I was drawing a blank. I'm like, what the hell? So then I start scrolling through ideas in my recorder, and I get the idea 87. It says the chorus idea. I listen to that, and I go, that's the bridge. And that became the bridge of the song. And I think that's a really cool way to work. I wouldn't do it if it sounded like it was going to be if it was going to be jigsaw puzzled together. It's got to feel natural. So I had to change the key, and I had to speed it up, and then bam, it worked. I think that's the beauty of music, you know. Music to me is colors, and I just want all the colors to work together. And but the starting point is always what's floating around in this brain, you know. Like, you know, even Don't Wake Up Dead. I was driving, and yeah, I think the vocal should come in right away. And then people talk about the light at the end. Oh, you've got a whole song here. And it just came out like that. It came out so quick. And some songs are obviously more tedious and way more work. And even on this record, Dan has a song, Feel Better, that I stole from him. Because he was like, hey, man, I need you to hear the song. I listened to the song at his house, and I go, well, that's really cool. And then when I was driving home, I'm like, we could put that on the Drills record. And I call him, I go, hey, that song's going on the Drills record. He goes, no, it's going on my record. I'm like, nope, it's going on my record. Pick the drummer, because there's going to be 11. And he sang lead on it too, so it's really cool. And now when someone goes, "Hey man, I just listened to the record. My favorite songs feel better," I was going, "Well, I'm going to have to tell Dan that."
In terms of guitar sounds, I mean, do you? I don't know. I mean, just out of curiosity, but like when putting together a song, like you mentioned earlier, Tommy Lee, and you've got that beat, and then you guys worked in the studio, the beat of the song playing a little faster, you felt that he connected to the song and stuff like that. When it comes to the guitar sounds for each of the tracks, is that something that you start off like with a set of gear that you normally use, that you really like, a bunch of guitars and a bunch of amps, and then as the song progresses in during the recording process, do you go and change things around to try different things? How does that work for you? And if so, what are your thoughts in regards to like, well, what's happening nowadays with technology, like people with quad cortex and all of that, which is fantastic. But, do you have any sort of like, wouldn't say an opinion about it, but like when it comes to like, being someone that plays with real amps versus technology. So again, two questions in one.
Yeah, it's not hard to get a great guitar sound. It's hard. Sometimes it's difficult to get an interesting guitar sound. So, and I want to get a guitar. Obviously, on this record especially, I felt like the king is the vocal, and everything needs to complement the king. So, what guitar sound? What's the tone that's going to go with my voice in this range? And then another thing too is this record took so long, it being a decade. I went through 3 different endorsements at the beginning.
Right. I was going to ask about that.
You Sunk My Battleship was Yamaha, and then in 2000, later in 2015, I was using Framuses, and then I switched to Gibson in 2020, and I went back to some of the songs that had overdubs with the other guitars, so I could use like an SG, or my Explorer has a great sound, or my ES335 for a semi-hollow sound. So I started experimenting with that, but it's usually my Friedman head and a Marshall head for the main rock stuff, 76 JMP, and then small amps for overdubs. So you're not just stacking big amps on top of big amps. Oh no, I got to turn that up. No, if you put a small amp on top of the wall of Marshalls, then it doesn't have to be that loud to poke out because it's got a different mid range and a smaller speaker and different tubes and stuff like that. So I mean, that stuff for me is workable. If you have that in your palette in your studio, then there's no reason to explore the new modeling type stuff. With that said, if someone called me to say, "Hey, we're doing this thing on Friday, and you have to go direct," I'll be like, "Well, can I bring a head and use an IR box, like an attenuator that has IRs built in," which is how I toured with Kurt Dimer. I had my Friedman head plugged into a 2-notes Captor X. With the impulse responses were my cabinets. So it was my Marshall cabinet that went to the front house, and people come up and they go, "Where's the cabinet?" And I go, "See the little white box on top? That's the cabinet." But that's if you have to go direct. Now, if we're flying, so you can't fly ahead, then I have the Universal Audio Lion, which is a great sounding Marshall in a box and its own cabinet simulator inside. The thing with that stuff for me is if I needed 20 guitar sounds at the drop of a dime or the press of a foot switch, then yeah, I probably would go for like a fractal, or there was the one that you said,
the Neuro Quad Cortex.
Yeah, the Quad Cortex. I know people that love that stuff. There's also another one made by IK Media, Multimedia. What's it called? I forget. But I heard somebody use that, and it sounded amazing. Lyle Workman was playing And he said, I just captured the tone of my amp, and I was in a box on the floor. And I'm like, wow, that sounded great. Tone something. I suck at that. But I think at the same time, what's really important with what I like to do is I love, even I'm using heads and cabinets with Bon Jovi, but the cabinets are in iso boxes under the stage. So am I truly getting, the magnets aren't really talking, the speaker magnet and the pickup magnet, they're not really like having a conversation because they're in a, so could I go direct? No.
But then, yeah, but like that's a good point actually, because using in ears, I mean, do you actually get, like, I'm sure the sound is great, it's well mixed, but when it comes to playing with in ears and having cabs and amps, like you said, under the stage or whatever they are stashed at, do you get like a great guitar sound on your ears that you can really like feel the ferocity of what you're playing?
It takes a minute. If you're used to like when I play with the drills, there's always the cabinet behind me and it's making my pant legs shake and I feel it and it's like, oh man, that's amazing. But when you go and everything's so close to your ear, you really can dissect the good parts and the bad parts. And hopefully and as you do a couple of rehearsals, you can get rid of the parts that you don't like. For me, my setup with the cabinet in a box and a head, and you feel like, what's the point? The point is every guitar I plug into that sounds completely different. So if I plug a Gretsch into that same rig, it sounds like Malcolm Young. And if I plug a Tele into it, it's perfect for Lost Highway. But if I plug my Explorer with the PX Super 8 Arcane pickup, it sounds like Van Halen. I haven't even pushed a button for a pedal or anything like that. The amp responds to whatever the guitar is giving it. And I don't think the modelers, they kind of do that, but not to that extent. There's three telltale characteristics of the modelers for me. It's like, I say, especially if something like Kemper or Fractal, where I hear chugging doesn't sound violent. It just sounds woofy. It doesn't have a tight attack to it. Squeals sound fake, and when you hit a nice chord, sometimes the note separation isn't there. Mm-hmm. Whew. That was a long answer.
Let me ask you something about the fact that you've been like such a like hard worker in the world of music, in the world of rock and roll, in the world of guitar. You've made so many friends, and you've been gifted with the fact that you have managed to perform and play with some of the biggest musicians on the planet. I mean, you've just recently played with Richie Sambora and Orianti and Sammy Hagar, and I mean, Jesus, I mean, it's just like unbelievable. Every time you look at at what's happening on your in the present and what happened to you in the past, I mean, it's just unbelievable the number of people that you have performed with. Are there any people out there that you'd still would want or dream about? I mean, you've been gifted guitars by your heroes in the past.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, are there any like sort of like bucket lists for you in terms of like, fuck, man, I'd love to record or play live or jam or whatever with these guys or that guy?
Yeah, unfortunately, I feel like, Jeff Beck would have been one, Eddie Van Halen would have been one. Now they're not both, neither of them are with us anymore, and that's kind of devastating. It would be cool if Alex Van Halen wanted to drum again and Michael Anthony wanted to jump in, and we get someone like Michael Starr to fucking sing and make a record. Not obviously, we don't call it Van Halen, we call it something else, but in the vein of that, something like that would be really amazing. Because I play with Michael Anthony, and he's such a great dude, such a great player. My God. And it's just so special. And then, it's always, I don't know, man, it's really weird. Because people are like, well, you should sing. I'm like, and something like that, I just want to play guitar and sing backgrounds. That's all I want to do. I don't want to be a lead singer in that. You know, it'd be really cool if to do something with someone like Jimmy Page. You know, that would be pretty amazing too. Everybody's getting so along in their years. It's getting kind of scary. You know what I mean? Every time you turn around, I read something the other day. Somebody just passed away, and it's like, really? Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look at festivals like headliners and stuff. I mean, there's a huge push on, well, from many forces of the business to try and find the new headliners. But I mean, in all fairness, I mean, there are big bands and big things happening, but I don't know. I mean, it's just it does feel that within the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to be seeing quite a lot of the bands that we grew up listening to and loved so much and still love so much, just not being around at all. You know what I mean? And,
well, you know, when you think about it, because it's like you're like, okay, hey, let's go. Hey, dude, Aerosmith's playing in September. Let's go. And then Aerosmith retires. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Good thing we didn't get tickets. No, but you know what I mean? It's like Aerosmith retiring. What? It doesn't even make sense. But yeah, it's stuff like that. Like man, it's crazy.
It is.
Steven Tyler. That would be like I recorded on the track with him one time. It was if you don't know me by now, it was him and Smokey Robinson did a duet, and then they're like, hey, we need guitars on this. And I walked in and I was like, what are we doing? Well, it's a duet by Steven Tyler and Smokey Robinson. I'm like, what?
You walked into the studio not knowing it?
Not knowing.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, so then there it is. You know, we need an intro. So I listened to the track, and now that I'm listening to the track, I hear Steven do a verse, and then I hear Smokey Robinson do a verse, and I'm like, is this happening? Holy shit. They go, so what do you got for an intro? And I'm like, this? And they're like, hey, that's great, but change the end so it goes into the band a little better. Okay, done. Okay, here's your check. See you later. It's like, what the? Let me play some more. Come on. Okay, let's see. Just, hey, let him run through it, see what he comes up with, and then I end up doing more. So, but doing something like that is pretty amazing. You know, but Steven Tyler, man, he's one of those guys that's just unbelievable.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Phil, brother, what about touring with the Drills? Any like not plans, or maybe plans, or you know, anybody new in the fold now that you've got Frontiers with the new record out, and I just saw that, you know, they've managed to get a deal in Japan as well, so the Japanese record is out as well. I'm going to Japan in June, so I'm going to get a Japanese version of the record for myself. Hell yeah.
It's got an extra track on it. Got a bonus track for Japan.
Right, I saw that. Yeah, great.
Yeah. You know what? I've been, and this is how I put it. I'm waiting for the schedule from the day job so I can fill the gaps for the rest of the year. There is a couple of things. Nothing's confirmed yet, so I can't really say anything. But I got, I really want to get out there and play these songs live because I think they deserve it, and I think the fans would really dig hearing it live. I think there's so much power on this record, and it's gonna come across live too, because we have that. We don't need tracks. We don't need anything like that. Everybody plays and sings their ass off, and we just rock it. I did that thing with Hacker and Robin Zander and Glenn Hughes. So April 30th, it's another party. Steven Tyler, Joe Perry, Robin Zander, Chris Robinson.
Excuse me, what are we talking here?
This is a gig I'm doing.
On April 30th?
Yeah.
You doing it?
San Francisco.
Holy moly. That's mega, brother.
I know. So Robin Zander, I played with 3 times now, but never played Chris Robinson Black Crowes. Dude, we're going to do like Jealous Again, Twice as Hard, Remedy. And then with Steven Tyler doing Aerosmith too.
Oh, man.
And Nuno Bencourt's playing guitar too. So me and Nuno are the house band, and then Joe Perry's gonna jump in for the Aerosmith.
Wow. Just because you've mentioned Steven Tyler, you're actually going on stage with him now. Right? Bro, honestly, I mean, if there's anyone out there that deserves those things, that's you, man. Because I mean, you know, we work in this industry, and obviously we are very blessed to work around great people and know who's who and all of that. But you know, there's also a lot of fucking bullshit happening, and you're just a real deal, man. You're just a great guy. I mean, you know, everybody loves you. You just play the guitar, like every time I see you playing the guitar, like you're always smiling, you know, you're always very, you know, happy with life in general, and that transpires in the music, it transpires in the record. I mean, it's just like, you know, you do deserve it, and you work your ass off. You work your entire life, you know, for all of the things that happen throughout the course of your life and that are still happening, which is a blessing. I mean, I think you deserve it all, and you know.
Well, just so you know, everybody loves you. Because Dan, I told Dan, I go, man, get this leopard gig. Carl said he might fly in for it. And Dan's like, he's the best. It's true, dude.
Thanks, brother.
Listen, I gotta go, man.
Right on.
I love you.
Love you.
Thanks for the chat.
Of course. Let's be in touch. I want to hear more about the second semester and how things unveil.
I will, for sure.
Nice one. Much love. Bye, brother.
Bye.
I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation, this podcast, as much as I did doing it. So if that's the case, please do follow on Instagram at rollercoastercarl, myself at Carl Casagrande, on Twitter, same thing, Facebook, same thing. Do subscribe on iTunes, subscribe on Spotify. That's very, very much appreciated. Thank you, and have a great day. Cheers. Bye-bye. Cheers. Bye-bye.